audio too? Like with the...
Yeah, not really. I mean, I'll need this to listen to the first promo, just to let you know.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's fine. It works. But I never remember which spot to put it in. Okay, you're going to test the first promo then?
Go ahead. You're not on top of here. All right, give it a shot again. Yeah, you're at 4, so you can go a little bit higher on those promos if you want to.
Going through my computer, not the headphones. Where's the headphones?
Hang on. Let me put this house together.
Lions.com.
Hey, this is Danny Longo, head coach of your Molloy Lions soccer team, and you're listening to all the action live on MolloyLions.com.
And welcome to the D&G Skello Sports Complex here in beautiful Rockville Center, New York, for some women's soccer ECC action, pitting the Molloy Lions against St. Thomas Aquinas College, or STAC as they'll be known from here on out. The Spartans coming in with a 3-8-0 record, 1-4 in the ECC. Meanwhile, the Lions 5-5-2 and 2-3 in conference play as well. Well, here in the pregame show, again, Dan Hilton here. I want to thank you for joining me on MolloyLions.com. We do have a homecoming doubleheader this Friday afternoon, again, with the season winding down, not yet senior day, but again, still a pivotal matchup for both the men and the women of Molloy. For the women, a little more desperate for a victory against a STAC team that, again, haven't had the season they would have liked. So Molloy is going to have to take care of business to get back to a 500 record in conference play, as, again, coming off a win against Dowling, 4-3, 4 goals, the most in a single game since 2011. Molloy was outshot 24-11 with goals scored by Alicia Mercurio, Danielle Valente, 2 by her actually, and the senior in Shannon Murphy added 1 as well. And that was a big win for Molloy. Again, it moved them, giving them their second win, should I say, in conference play, tying them with Damien, and still sitting behind Queens at 2-3-1. Dowling at 2-2-1, Mercy 3-2, Bridgeport 4-0, and Roberts Wesleyan 5-0. So you'd have to think from Molloy's perspective, Roberts Wesleyan and Bridgeport at 5-0 and 4-0 respectively have pretty much put themselves out of reach for the rest of the conference, but Mercy, Dowling, Queens, and even Damien, who they are tied with, sitting right in that same threshold. So a win today could help propel them back into the ECC playoff category. Well, it was an abbreviated pregame show, but we'll be back in just a second for the opening lineups and the start of this contest.
Will showcase the Spartans of St. Thomas Aquinas College and your
Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Casey's is open 7 days a week for dinner with plenty of salads, sandwiches, and entrees to choose from. Casey's is also open for lunch Thursday through Sunday and for Sunday brunch. On the go, takeout is available, plus on-site and off-premise catering to suit all of your catering needs. And now through October, Casey's Rooftop Bar, Rooftop 32, is open for dining. Plus, you can receive a 10% discount with a Lions Land Card. All at Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails, 23 North Park Avenue in Rockville Center.
Jake's Steakhouse is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Come down to Jake's for happy hour every Monday through Friday from 3 to 7 p.m. and Sundays from 12 to 7 p.m. $4 mixed drinks, $5 select house wines by the glass, $4 select domestic beer, and $5 select craft beers. Looking for some delicious food? Jake's Sunset Special features a price-fixed menu Sunday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., 3 courses for just $24.95. Friday night at Jake's is Prime Rib Night, a delicious 26-ounce prime rib with popover, mashed potatoes, and dessert, all for just $49. Can't get enough? Well, Jake's does brunch too. Sunday mornings receive free hot cereal and coffee or tea with any entree, plus bottomless Bloody Marys and mimosas for $10. And don't forget, you get 10% off at Jake's Monday through Saturday with a Lions Land Card. Jake's Steakhouse, 2172 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow.
Mercy Medical Center and South Island Orthopedic Group are the proud medical providers of Molloy College Athletics. They are committed to serving the community with state-of-the-art compassionate health care. You can reach them at 516-62-MERCY or on the web at www.mercymedicalcenter.chsli.org.
William J. Schwartz Physical Therapy and Pro Sports Care of Long Island is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. William J. Schwartz Physical Therapy and Pro Sports Care of Long Island is a full-service sports injury center for rehabilitation, strength and conditioning, and sports enhancement training. William J. Schwartz has 17 years of experience with athletes. Call 516-798-9605 for more information. MolloyLions.com is your official broadcast home for Molloy College Athletics. Hear all the exciting action of every Molloy Lions game live right here on MolloyLions.com. Remember, your home for Molloy College Athletics is www.MolloyLions.com.
Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Looking for great food around campus? Casey's is open 7 days a week for dinner with plenty of salads, sandwiches, and entrees to choose from. Casey's is also open for lunch Thursday through Sunday and for Sunday brunch. On the go, takeout is available, plus on-site and off-premise catering to suit all your catering needs. All at Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails, 23 North Park Avenue in Rockville Center.
This is the home for Molloy College Athletics. www.molloylions.com.
And welcome back to the Skelos Sports Complex on this Friday afternoon. Again, we've got a doubleheader for both the men and women of Molloy soccer, and both taking on St. Thomas Aquinas College, or STAC for short. The Spartans, as I mentioned in the pregame show, coming in at 3-8-0 and 1-4 in conference play. And meanwhile, Molloy coming in off a 4-3 win against Dowling, which put their record at 2-3 in conference play, 5-5-2 overall. STAC, meanwhile, coming in on a 2-1 overtime loss to Mercy. A STAC goal scored by Alyssa Rosiana, assisted by Lindsay Sansone in the 86th minute. That came off a cross to send the game to overtime. But then they conceded within 2 minutes of OT to again lose in 2-1 heartbreaking fashion. For the starting lineups for both these squads, the visiting STAC Spartans. Up top, they're led by Lindsay Sansone and Alyssa Rosania, the sophomore from Butler, New Jersey, leading the team with 8 goals, while Sansone has added 6 and 4 assists as well. In the midfield, they're led by the number 1 captain, Paige Montillo, from Sindhurst, New Jersey. And she is flanked by the number 10, Kelsey Artizone, number 23, Priya Bayati, and number 2, Nisha Flynn. The back line a little bit changed from the last game. Annalise Warren is going to be substituted for Marissa Connolly, the sophomore from Monroe, New York. And then along that back line, number 4, Madison Lord, number 11, Callie Moyes, and the sophomore from Haverstraw, New York, number 25, Brianna Flores. In net, the freshman goalkeeper, standing at 5'2", also from Monroe, New York, number 34, Courtney Dumaine. And for the hometown, Molloy Lions, again 5-5-2 overall, 2-3 in conference play. And while STAC, they don't think their season is over quite yet. They are still about 2 or 3 games out of a playoff spot, depending on the results of the rest of today's games. But for Molloy, again, they know that a win here will propel them back certainly into the playoff picture and give them an opportunity to control their own destiny. They're led up top by a sophomore, junior, and a senior, and respectively Sam Bernieri, number 20, and of course, in the middle of the field, number 8, Danielle Valente from South Setauket, New York, with 5 goals so far on the season. And the number 11 on the right wing, Alicia Mercurio. And then across that midfield, playing the creative midfield role, Shannon Murphy, the senior from North Babylon, New York, number 4. And number 12, Jessica Malone, on another one of those wings. The number 10 in the middle of the field, but playing just behind Murphy, is Christina Restivo. And then the back line, they do play a diamond back 4 with Amanda Malazzo at the stopper position. And then on the wings, Courtney Noakes and the number 2 captain, Gianna Genosa. And then the number 5 sweeper, Annette Mims, the redshirt senior from Patchogue, New York. And of course, in net, probably the most important player from Molloy is Gabrielle Batista, the 00, the junior from Hicksville, New York. Yeah, the first time the ball is rolled out of play today. And the throw in to start things off will go to Molloy. 2 STAC players knocking into each other. Molloy will be going left to right in this first half in their home white uniforms with the maroon trim in both lettering and numbering in the White Sox. Meanwhile, STAC come in with their maroon road uniforms with the white numbering and white trim, the inverse of Molloy. A correction on Genosa wearing the captain's armband. Even though she is a captain, Restivo is the one with the captain's armband. And again, she has the number 10, but not necessarily in a traditional number 10 role, but instead playing behind Murphy. And you can even see off that long punt forward, you have Murphy, and then Milazzo, and then Restivo, being the spine of the unit. And, of course, the top of that spine is Valente. And she heads over to pressure the stack back line. Again, I want to thank you for listening to me, Dan Hilton, here on MolloyLions.com on this Friday afternoon. It was a 4 p.m. start because, again, the gentlemen play tonight at 7 p.m. here on the same field against the same named team. Here's Bernieri on the right flank, crossing over to Valente. Valente gets one good look at it, and she had to hit it one time, and that's what she did with the right foot. But it was a good job by the goalkeeper, Dumaine, to cover that near post. You'd have to think standing at 5'2", the freshman from Monroe, New York, in net for Stack, it might be an idea for Molloy if they're trying to chip the goalkeeper or trying to get balls in the air. And that's something that the Spartans have had a difficulty in defending this season. Not a lot of height along the back line and in net. Their tallest player in the middle of that defense, Kaylee Moyes. As Stack is on offense for basically the first time today. And we've got our first goal kick for Molloy. It's a good job by Milazzo to close out the player that had beaten Noakes on the end line. Molloy, they've lost some tough games this year. As you look at their goals, they've scored 15, only conceded 17. They've actually had more attempts on goal, 77 to opponent's 67. And for Stack, they had some success, and at least creatively, in the non-conference. But once they got to the conference, the defense of the ECC has really given the Stack offense fits. And the big number to circle there, they had 12 assists overall, so 9 in the non-conference, but they've only assisted each other on 3 goals in the non-conference. Good job by Mims cutting out the intended through ball as she takes it up herself. When you play the diamond defense like Molloy does, it gives plenty of opportunity for players to cover for one another. So even a Mims, who usually plays that sweeper role, she has some fancy footwork here. Mercurio stays on sides, looking for Bernieri. She's the player open. She finally finds her. She might have to hit it one time. She does, aiming for that back corner, but just missing. And somehow Valente keeps it in on the touchline. Now clearing back in. A shot by Mercurio is cleared out initially by Stack. And as I was saying, this entire attack created by that run by Mims. And when you do play that diamond defense, and again, Mims at the very back of it in the sweeper position, it does allow some fluidity in the middle of the park as you can cover for one another, just as you saw Milazzo do for Mims. Murphy tries to flick into the box and looking for Malone. Noakes basically clearing the ball back into the box, but too far out, and the first goal kick to go Stack's way. Just about 5 minutes into this one, again, still 0-0. But you can tell that there is some desperation in both these units. They know that a loss could very much just mean that no postseason play will come into effect this season for them. And 50-50 balls is going to be another huge thing in the middle of that park for both teams that play with the, we'll call it a 4-3-3 from Molloy, but on the other side, we saw 3 defenders at the back, so they do basically play a 3-5-2 as the goalkeeper picks up, and the official telling Valente to don't be so physical, especially so early. Another move by Annette Mims, and she's having quite the game with the ball at her feet. Here's Valente on that left wing. She likes to cut in, and she takes a shot. And this one pretty easy for Dumaine. Domain is the goalkeeper today. She's played in 10 games, started 4 though, this being her 5th start of the season. 20 goals against, 2.73 goals against average, and 47 saves with a .70, not should I say .70, but a 70% save percentage, and a 1-4 record. But she does deputize, and starting in 7 games and playing 8 is Lauren Morales, the senior, so we might see her in the second half. 11 goals against for Morales, 2.75 goals against, and a 69% save percentage. And she has a 2-4 record. .37-33 left to go in this first half. Again, still 0-0. This game's still in its infancy. But again, for anyone who might need a reminder, of course, college soccer counts down as opposed to counting up, as they do in the pros and so often in any youth league you would have ever played in. But in college, again, 2 45-minute halves, which isn't unusual, but again, they count down from 45 to 0, so. And if things are tied up at the end of 90 minutes, 2 extra time periods can come into effect. Molloy has actually only played 1 overtime game this year, and that coming against Damien, a 1-0 loss. Here's Stack, trying to find the streaking Wazania inside the box, but couldn't find her. And it's those 1-2s between Sansone and Wazania that Stack is going to try to use to create some offense. You also notice that in the early going, they're trying to go down that right flank, loading up on maroon shirts, trying to attack Noak's side of the field. That's a good win by Mercurio. Had a little bit of trouble controlling it, and Lord was able to backtrack and win it back. The senior from Sydney, Australia. Milazzo, the through ball, appeared to be intended for Murphy, but Murphy hadn't made the run. Correction, that was Valente trying to find Murphy. Goes off maroon shirt. So it's to Genosa. Malone crossing into the middle for Mercurio. And Vestivo picked up for just a second. Good defense by Flynn. They noticed the ref didn't call anything, and he does now. The foul going against Bernieri on Flynn. And that was for the redshirt senior from Pearl River, New York, and Nisha Flynn. Steve on the other side of things, a player she knows well. So on that last play, we'll say the collision where the ref, again, held his whistle. Didn't call anything because, yes, while Restivo did basically nutmeg Flynn, Flynn doesn't have to give up that positioning, even though Genosa tried to go through her. And at the end of the day, you chalk it up to good officiating. Stack almost getting a shot off, but Malone able to come back. And again, notable frustration in the early going from Sansone. But the speedy Malone, and on the other side, Mercurio is actually playing a little farther up instead. So Valente loses out. And a foul going against Rosania. The last matchup between these two units, Molloy, the 1-0 winners last season, a 29th minute goal by then freshman Sam Bernieri, assisted by Batista. And no, it wasn't a punt from goalkeep. Again, have to remind you that last season, Batista starting every game in center defense. And this year making the transition for the first time in her career to the net. Looking at Batista's numbers this season, being 4-2-2 in goal. And surprisingly enough, she played 1 half out in the field. And in that 1 half, she somehow managed to score a goal. Taking 1 shot this season, 1 on goal, and of course, 1 found in the back of the net. And for what I guess you could call a younger squad from Molloy, as we have another foul going against Stack, as they do only have 4 seniors, and all 4 seniors starting in the starting lineup. It could be considered a younger team. And some of those younger players, especially coming off the bench, in Allie Rainey, Felicia LaPera, being a sophomore, Dominique Capolongo, the freshman from Islip, New York. Mercurio goes the cross in, but Dumaine had it covered on the near post again. That's the 3rd time Dumaine was able to snuff out a Molloy attack by doing a good job safeguarding that near post position. Here's Mims. Again, stepping up into the midfield. Her 3rd surging run forward. Mims has taken 6 shots, 3 on goal. But maybe she'd like to add an assist into the book. Milazzo, she beat the man and did the hard part, but then she had a hard time getting that final ball. But she does the hard work and wins it back as well. Bernieri, the pass through ball intended for Valente, a little bit too far in front of the junior. And I guess while it is a younger team on paper, more and more you mull over the players on the field. You notice that juniors Genosa and Valente, as well as Noakes on the other side of things, and Batista in net. That's going to be the crux of, again, what Molloy's going to try to do next year as well. Try to use those younger players to replace the seniors they're losing in the starting lineup. But it's Valente who's led this team, the line up top in goals and points now 2 years in a row. And she has double the number of points that any other Molloy player has with 11. Mercurio and Malone both 5 points on the season. Again, a ball from Noakes. Up ahead intended for Mercurio, a little bit too far, and a goal kick upcoming for Stack. With 29:43 left to go in the first half. Again, still 0-0 on the scoreline. Molloy's had their chances, but nothing too difficult for Dumaine. She seems to have had every offensive attack covered. The only first impression from the first 15 minutes, that you'd want to take note of is Annette Mims, usually the sweeper. She seems to have had a bowl of courage this morning, and she's continued to take it up into the midfield, right through the heart of Stack's midfield. Bernieri, but again, a good job by Stack to load up on one side defensively. You can hear from that far sideline, head coach Danny Longo is telling his team to switch the field because, again, defensively, Stack is loading up on this side, trying to cause those turnovers. So switching the field, opening up that space as opposed to just trying to continue to bomb the ball forward and hope that a player has made the proper run. And those are the kind of things that can absolutely drive a coach crazy. The official calls a handball. And you hear the crowd here at the Skello Sports Complex telling the official that that's been his first unfavorable call for the hometown crowd. And now just about 18 minutes in, Stack already making their first substitution. Miss hit by Milazzo, but Batista, she's a speedy goalkeeper, has it covered. And the first substitution, the number 10 in our D zone, heads out.
Checking into the game, number 6, Francesca Giglio.
And Francesca Giglio comes in. Giglio, the sophomore from Maspeth in New York, with 1 goal so far on the season. One of the first ladies off the bench for a Stack. The header out of danger. Now Murphy with what you could almost call a golazo on the one-time volley, finding the bottom right corner. Shannon Murphy, her second goal of the season, puts Molloy up 1-0. Just about 19 minutes into this contest. And even to me, that goal was a surprise that it had gone in. And when it came off her foot, it was looping, apparently to the left of the net, but somehow nestled its way in. And if you go back and look at the game tape on this one, Molloy might want to see what could be their goal of the season so far. Just the way the ball had bounced up, and we'll have to wait for the official confirmation on who technically assisted on it. It didn't look like anyone had intended for Murphy to wind up with the ball, but instead it looked to be a shot by Valente that went off a defender, bounced up, and Murphy was in the perfect spot and just unloaded with the right foot.
Molloy College goal scored by number 4, Shannon Murphy.
And the official ruling is that it is unassisted
at the 18-18 mark of the first half.
For the senior, again from North Babylon, New York. Her second goal came in her 18th shot and her 9th on net. Murphy's been an important part of Molloy, we'll say, turning around their slow start at the first 3 games of the season. Murphy didn't play in those, and when she came into the starting lineup, creatively, she's been a breath of fresh air for Molloy. Here's Mims. Again, Mims has the speed to clear things herself. Another note we'll talk about both in this game and in the next contest as well. The coaching matchup today pitting Molloy's Danny Longo against Stack's coach Graham Brown. And this is another one of those situations where you have both coaches who coach both the men and the women. So no personnel changes on the sideline for either team. And that's a good step up on the Stack side of things by Callie Moyes, a senior from Troy, New York. And you'd have to wonder, for a soccer coach, what is the phrase you'd think that they would yell most from the sideline? So often you hear the phrase step up, and that's the bread and butter example by Moyes of why you need to step up. And that just means coming to the ball instead of waiting for the ball to come to you, because by that time, the opponent has already come in and taken possession. As here comes two Molloy subs. Appears to be Malone and Bernieri to head to the bench. And coming in is, as we mentioned, two youngsters in Ali Rainey, the freshman, and Felicia LaPera.
Number 7, Felicia LaPera enters for number 20, Sam Bernieri.
Batista has it covered. Rainey and LaPera have both added a goal so far this season. Rainey's been the more active one, at least offensively. She's had 6 shots on goal, 16 shots in total. Meanwhile, LaPera has made the most of her opportunities. 4 shots and 1 on goal, and the 1 on goal being ball in the back of the net. And Stack offensively trying a similar solution that Molloy is trying to employ as they're trying to bomb the ball forward up over the top of the defense. And both teams have been up to the challenge. And Shannon's Murphy's, again, 19th minute goal, the difference. Here's Mercurio. She was waiting for the ball to come down to her feet, but the ball fell just on the end of Dumain's box, allowing the freshman goalkeeper to come out and snatch it up. And Murphy picks up the turnover. She beats one defender. Now the through ball to Valente. A little bit too far for the junior, and Dumain is there again. Dumain's had her fair share of work so far. Murphy's goal being the difference. But you have to say that for as much as Dumain's height and inexperience was going to be question marks, at least from Molloy, we're seeing her for the first time, Dumain was of no fault on that goal by Murphy. Whether it was strength and location, really not much that any goalkeeper could do about it. As we have a battle going on here on this near side between Genosa and Connolly. Mims again has the speed to cut that out. That'll be a big key for Molloy, too. You saw how Murphy picked up possession for Molloy. And off a 50-50 ball, that's called the second ball. And not necessarily the first touch or the first player that touches the ball. As here's Rainey. And Rainey tries to flick in and is wide of the net. That's her 17th shot of the year. The first time any Molloy players tried to chip the goalkeeper. As we made mention, Murphy picking up possession from Molloy by, again, waiting for that second ball off the first touch from the Stack player. And for a, we'll say, more professional example of that, you look at the recent matchup between the United States and Mexico in that game just last week. And that was one of the big things for the U.S., where Mexico seemed to keep getting possession back because the ball kept falling to them on the second touch. Mercurio tried to swing it in from the end line. It was a low cross, but Valente had 2 defenders in front of her. Flynn up ahead. Finds the feet of Noakes. Now Milazzo. And trying to get it forward. Rainey wasn't initially making the run. He has speed to catch up to things, as most of Molloy's wingers do. Of course, Mercurio and Malone, diminutive wingers, but again, they use their speed to make up for anything they might be lacking in height. And now, while LaPera and Rainey do have a little more height, they do have some speed to burn as well. Well, LaPera, as the season has gone on, she initially started up top, but you can even see setting up here in the right midfield, dropping back a little bit as the season has progressed. And roles do change, and that's a mark of players who play, is that you can roll with the punches and change up what you've been doing all season long. For head coach Sandy Longo, whenever he makes those comments, you can also tell that one of the players he's always talking about is the freshman Amanda Milazzo, who, as she does navigate her position, basically going from defense to midfield and trying to be that transition between defense and offense. As Mims come all the way up for the free kick, she'll simply try to put it in no man's land, which is that spot right in front of the goalkeeper on her far post where everybody is setting up, where she's going to have to make a decision. Milazzo actually basically getting it right in front of net, but it's headed out by a sack player. Rainey tries to get it back in, but it's cut out by a Spartan. Throw in from Molloy on the far side with 17-17 left to play in the first half. Again, a 1-0 scoreline right now in favor of the hometown Molloy Lions. Again, I'll keep calling it a golazo until everybody's convinced. By Shannon Murphy, it was a one-time rocket of a shot with a right foot, where the ball fell down to her on a misplaced header by Stack. She connected perfectly, swinging her leg through the ball and getting power and location as it nestled itself into the bottom right corner. Doing everything right, did the senior on her second goal of the season. And again, that's how we sit at 1-0 being the scoreline. Here's Valente laying off for Rainey. She lost her footing a little bit, and I think that's what made that ball go so far. Mercurio able to save it from going out. And here's Valente. Valente alone in the box, chipping in, hits the top of the crossbar. The goalkeeper still can't collect it, and she finally lies on top of it. Valente knew what she wanted to do. She knew she wanted to aim for a spot where Dumaine wouldn't be able to reach it, would have a hard time punching it over. But she was just a little bit too high as that ball was always rising. Valente, of course, sniffing for her 6th goal of the year. She has 33 shots on the year so far to lead Molloy. But an all ECC honorable mention in the past. She was expected to lead the line for head coach Danny Longo. And we'd have to ask him, but head coach Longo using the 4-3-3 formation with both the men and the women. And in today's modern game, again, the 4-4-2 is often used in the collegiate game, as not often do you have 3 players up top that you can rely on to have that goal-scoring instinct at such a high level. But the speed that Molloy has on the wings, at least on the women's side of things, with Batista backtracking a little bit, but able to pick up that free kick out of the air. And again, when you have wingers as speedy as Molloy has, a 4-3-3 is the formation you can employ to, again, really spread everything out and to try to use the entire field. As Mercurio again almost in on Dumaine's goal. Valente heading it down to her. But Dumaine has done a good job commanding her box, coming out when she needed to. And here's Rainey. Another race. And they're going to say Valente was offsides. Because with Dumaine coming out, Valente had gotten that touch by her. So she would have been wide open. It would have been a difficult angle, but you have to think that she could have taken one touch closer to net. That would have been an easy goal. But again, the line judge putting his flag up. You actually see where he's putting his, where they're putting the spot of the ball. They can usually indicate that they've been tracking Valente for a while and knew that she was offsides much earlier than the play that you saw transpire. 13:22 left to go in the first half. And still 1-0 the scoreline. I again want to thank you as well for joining me here on MolloyLions.com for this doubleheader, both the men and the women. And again, two very different storylines for these two units. For the women, desperate for a victory to put themselves back in the ECC postseason picture. And we have a foul call against Stack. It looks like we might have a card, the first of the game, and it's going to be a yellow card.
Fancy yellow card is issued to Thomas Aquinas is number 29, Alyssa Rosania.
You say the women needing to get a win to get back in the ECC postseason picture. The men, meanwhile, are not in a comfortable position, but are trying to put the finishing touches on a season that could help them get into the ECC playoffs, as they currently sit as a 3 seed right now, if they started today. Valente cutting back to Milazzo. Milazzo using one touch to get by the defender. And again, it's that final ball from the freshman that's let her down. Hasn't found a teammate inside the box just yet. Mims, the miss hit on the header. And you have to say that after this whole first half, that's probably the first miss hit that Annette Mims has had. She's been excellent so far today. But she had some fellow defenders in Noakes and Restivo who were back to help her out. And the maroon shirts just didn't have the numbers forward.
St. Thomas Aquinas substitutions checking in number
And a Stack
3,
substitution.
Victoria
Smith, the senior forward from Dumont, New Jersey. 2 assists on the year has come in. And Giglio already takes a seat on the bench again. Flynn. And the long shot, Batista again does have it covered. That was taken from about 35, 40 yards out by recently checking into the game, Catherine Kerrigan, the sophomore from West Haverstraw. And you've heard me say the word Haverstraw before, probably the first 2 times I've ever said it in my life, but sophomores, Brianna Flores, the outside back from Haverstraw, New York, as well as Catherine Kerrigan from West Haverstraw, New York, however. So those two attending different schools. But there's a very good chance they played together at the youth levels. Mercurio cuts back into the middle. Can't find Valente. Stack able to keep it in. But again, Stack lacking on ideas if they're not using that right flank. Advantage played, but Restivo giving away the advantage. Murphy able to pick up, but she turns it right back over. Mims clears cut out. So some sloppy play for about the last 3 minutes. Molloy had a hard time clearing, but Stack didn't do much with possession. Molloy gives it right back again. We're under 10 minutes of play in the first half, still sitting at 1-0. So Molloy not necessarily out of the woods yet. Still plenty of soccer to be played. Mims controls and gets back to Batista. And you see her time as a center back. That ball forward, perfectly finding LaPera. LaPera has her pass then cut out by Kerrigan. As we say it almost every time. On MolloyLions.com. This right back from Molloy. Gianna Genosa. How many throw-ins she takes? That's not something you might, actually, that's not something you quantify with numbers and no one keeps track, but Genosa, even taking another one here, always seems to be taking a throw-in on this right side as opposed to the left side, where Nooks very rarely has the ball in her hands. Mercurio can't get a clear shot on it. That would have been difficult once she didn't have the time to wait for it to drop all the way to her feet, so she had to try to see if she could volley it up out of the air, closer to where her waist would be. That's a difficult attempt for anybody at any level, but again, Genosa, she's got a lot of tact, and she plays a physical brand of soccer, and that's why so often with those one-on-one battles on the sideline, they go out of bounds. And the intended shot would have been a difficult one, but Genosa got hit as she was trying to cross it forward. And so it's another free kick here. And there's Erica Coppola, the sophomore from Plainview, New York, set to check in after this free kick. It's going to be taken by Mims. It's pretty far out from Mims, so she's going to try to cross it in, try to find a head. It's a low cross. Murphy tried to get a volley on. It's through traffic. LaPera saved off the line by Stack. LaPera. As Valente has the ball taken off her feet by Dumaine. Valente still able to keep it loose. The official saying play on. So LaPera has it on the right flank. And a quick correction. It's the ball out of bounds here. With 6:18 left to play in the first half. Still sitting at 1-0. Could have been 2-0. But again, I was originally going to correct it, but no, it's going to be Sansone who's going to be credited with the clear off the line. On LaPera's intended shot, she was trying to get her second goal of the year. And now we've got some substitutions. Valente will take a seat for Coppola. And number 22, Mariella Gotti from Valley Stream, New York, comes in.
Number 22, Mariella Gotti replaces number 8, Danielle Valente.
And Kristen Cummings in as well, the sophomore from Huntington Station, playing a defensive midfield role. With 5.5 to play. Looks like longer than having a word with Valente on that sideline. Cummings cutting it out. And Sansone getting a little physical on the far sideline. Just a throw in, no harm, no foul. And that ball might be lost to the trees. Here separating the Parkway and Peninsula Boulevard and the Skell Sports Complex. Restivo, layoff for Murphy. Gotti tracking back for it. Genosa. Flynn hitting the ground, but then Genosa losing out. And again, some physicality between Genosa and Connolly. And you'd be surprised with 49 minutes left to play in this contest, only 4 in this first half. Genosa and Connolly, they behaved when separate, but together when colliding, they've definitely have some bad blood there. 3:34 left. Again, Molloy would love to add one before the half. Give themselves what wouldn't necessarily be a comfortable 2-0 lead, but it's, again, double the comfort on a 1-0 lead. Gotti. And Flynn fouls Genosa. The number 2's battling in the middle of the field. The tempo slowing as we've edged towards halftime. Neither team, really taking possession. Genosa with that ball forward. Tried to find Cummings. It lands to Restivo. Another layoff. The ball in. Again, an attempted chip. So some Molloy players having a similar idea. Trying to take advantage of the 5'2" Dumaine, freshman goalkeeper. Here's Lepera with Murphy. Ball falling to Milazzo with 2 minutes to go in the first half. Now Cummings. And Milazzo losing her foot. So now on the counterattack, here comes Stack. It's a 2-on-2. Mims again able to cut it out and just clear it away from Smith. With 1:45 to play, again on the other side of that, Molloy would have loved to add a goal, but they do not want to let Stack, in the last 2 minutes, tie things up. Completely changes the complexion of a conversation at halftime. It's Murphy battling with 2 Stack players. Lepera. Back to Genosa. Genosa forward, but picked up by the center back tandem. The Moyes half of it. Mims again, another piece of footwork. And Restivo, the layoff to Milazzo. Up ahead to Murphy. Behind the defense, here's Lepera. Lepera's got inside positioning. And the cross in, just not enough on it. And we're under a minute left. Stack again here on the counter. But enough white shirts have got back, and Milazzo cuts it out. Molloy has had the opportunity here to commit some white shirts forward. And now again out on the break. It's basically 6-on-6. Noakes putting a body on Smith. And now Mims able to clear with 25 left. Restivo and Noakes battling on that far sideline with Kerrigan with 10 seconds left. And you can hear that countdown with 4 seconds. Looks like no shots are going to get off in time. And we head into the halftime with a 1-0 scoreline in favor of Molloy on a 19th minute goal by Shannon Murphy for second of the season. So we'll be back in a bit for a halftime show, as well as some stats and analysis of that halftime. And then we'll be upcoming for the second half, as well as, again, Molloy tries to close this one out and pick up their third win in conference play to move back to 500. Again, you're listening to Molloy Women's Soccer on MolloyLions.com.
Jake's Steakhouse is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Looking for great food in the area? Well, come on down to Jake's. Jake's features a special price-fixed menu Sunday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., 3 courses for just $24.95. And Lions Land cardholders receive a special 10% discount. Jake's Steakhouse, 2172 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow.
Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Hurry down to Casey's because now through October, Casey's Rooftop Bar, Rooftop 32, is open for dining. Have a Lions Land card? Receive a 10% discount on your order. Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails, 23 North Park Avenue in Rockville Center.
Mercy Medical Center and South Island Orthopedic Group are the proud medical providers of Molloy College Athletics. They are committed to serving the community with state-of-the-art, compassionate health care. You can reach them at 516-62-MERCY or on the web at www.mercymedicalcenter.chsli.org.
What's the lowdown on Molloy College athletics? Watch the Lions Lowdown. Hear from your favorite coaches and student athletes of the Molloy College Lions. Watch on MolloyLions.com or follow our YouTube channel, Molloy Lions.
Jake's Steakhouse is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Jake's features a great deal for Molloy students. Head to Jake's with your Lions Land card from Monday through Saturday and get 10% off your order. Only at Jake's Steakhouse, 2172 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow.
Molloy College cordially invites all parents, relatives, and former Molloy Lions back for homecoming reunion and family weekend. Friday, October 16th through Sunday, October 18th in Rockville Center. Visit alumni.molloy.edu and click on the Homecoming Reunion and Family Weekend tab at the bottom of the home screen to see a schedule listing, as well as finding local area hotels to stay in. Molloy College hopes to see you, families of current students and alumni, and all former members of the Molloy community for homecoming, reunion, and family weekend on October 16th through the 18th.
Mercy Medical Center and South Island Orthopedic Group are the proud medical providers of Molloy College Athletics. They are committed to serving the community with state-of-the-art, compassionate health care. You can reach them at 516-62-MERCY or on the web at www.mercymedicalcenter.chsli.org.
Jake's Steakhouse is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Not only does Jake's have great food and drinks, but it features Sunday brunch too. Free hot cereal and coffee or tea with any entree, plus bottomless Bloody Marys and mimosas for only $10. Spend your next Sunday brunch at Jake's, 2172 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow.
MolloyLions.com is your official online home for Molloy College Athletics. Game recaps, highlights, stats, exclusive stories and interviews, and much, much more. All on your online home for Molloy College Athletics, www.MolloyLions.com.
Stay tuned, stats and expert analysis are just moments away on the Molloy Lions Halftime Report, presented by Jake's Steakhouse of East Meadow. It's the Molloy Lions Halftime Report, Brought to you by Jake's Steakhouse.
Welcome inside the halftime show again, brought to you by Jake's Steakhouse. Dan Hilton here on MolloyLions.com. After 45 minutes, Molloy sits with a 1-0 lead. And for Molloy, they would call it a comfortable 1-0 lead, as they have not allowed Stack to have much opportunity to get in on net. Molloy holding a 9-3 shot disparity over the Spartans. The one goal, of course, coming in the 19th minute. Shannon Murphy, an unassisted goal, her second of the season. And at the time, I called it a golazo. And I think people in attendance here would agree that a ball played off the head, off a cross by Valente. It was initially defended properly, but the clear did not go far enough. It fell right just about at the 18-yard box, right to Murphy, who was in the center of the field, and she unloaded a scorching shot in the bottom right corner of Dumain's goal. Nothing that the freshman goalkeeper could do, as Murphy put Molloy up 1-0. Valente had 3 shots, 2 on goal to lead Molloy. Again, Murphy and Bernieri, Rainey, LaPera, and Gotti all had a shot as well. Only 4 shots on goal, however, though. The 1 from Murphy again, 2 from Valente, and 1 from Felicia LaPera might have been the other one that head coach Danny Longo would have liked to find the back of the net, as LaPera was all alone, but it was cleared off the line by Lindsay Sansone, who has one of St. Thomas Aquinas' 3 shots in that first half, and the only one on goal. So Zania has 1, along with a yellow card, and Catherine Kerrigan has a shot as well. Dumain picked up 2 saves in that first half. Batista had just 1. And again, the 1 yellow card going against the number 29 in maroon, and that's the road maroon and Alicia Rosania. And on the season, some of these numbers look to make pretty good sense for both these units. As Molloy, again, they have 9 shots so far in that first half. They average about 14 on the year. So they would have to have a lull in the second half, but it's something they don't want to do, again, against an opponent like Stack, who have only picked up 1 conference win. Yes, this could potentially put the nail in the coffin on any postseason opportunities for the Spartans. For Molloy, it means that they could put themselves back in the playoff picture at 500 in conference play, as not to look too far ahead for the Lions. But they still have 3 games to finish the season, the next being their toughest test against number 7 in the country, Bridgeport. But if they find a way to upset Bridgeport, they put themselves in the driver's seat to make the postseason. Again, top 4 are the ones who make it in. And then they have LIU Post and Mercy to end out the year. And you should circle that game against Mercy. Again, Mercy's 3-2. LIU Post 1-1-2. So again, it's impossible to see what happens with Mercy, Dowling, Queens, and Damien, who are all very close in the standings to Molloy. Logjam right there in the middle. But let's say they being Molloy, were able to get to victory today against Stack in the last 45 minutes and close things out. That puts them at 500 in the conference. Bridgeport's at 4-0 right now, potentially 5-0 when the day is done. But if they were able to even get a draw against Bridgeport and not pick up another loss, but even if they were to lose that one, it puts them back at 3-4. But they take care of business against LIU Post, and then it could be them against Mercy for that final spot in the ECC playoffs. So, in a sense, no, Molloy don't control their own destiny completely, but they, with a victory today, and at least 2 more. So if they were to win 3 of their last 4 games, it'd be difficult to keep them out of the ECC playoffs.
We have 5 contestants
So we're just about 4.5 minutes away from the second half of action. Again, I want to reiterate the one goal coming on the foot of the senior, Shannon Murphy. And they will be honored, them being the 4 seniors, especially the 4 in the starting lineup, on Saturday, next Saturday being, as this team has 8 days off between this match and their next. Again, it gets 8 days to prepare for number 7 Bridgeport. That's something the head coach, Danny Longo, would have to be happy with. Give his players just over a week to just get rested up and recuperate for what could be, again, a win that would absolutely propel them, or at least really, again, put them in the position to get themselves a spot in the ECC playoffs. And it would be a huge upset for the program as well.
Are you ready? On your mark, get set, go!
And again, here in the halftime show, we want to thank you for joining me, Dan Hilton.
To the shorts.
As you can actually see, while it might not be your traditional 11-on-11, you have the Molloy Lions halftime dress-up challenge, where everyone has to put on a different Molloy box, and they have to try to have an athlete put on the attire of another athlete. Representing a different sport. And so it looks like men's basketball did win the Molloy halftime shootout challenge. But nevertheless, head coach Danny Longo and his crew don't care too much about the proceedings at halftime as they prepare for the second 45 minutes, as do we. With, again, about 2.5 minutes before that kicks off, we'll take one more break and be back for the second half of action, again, with the Molloy Lions women's soccer team leading the Stack Spartans 1-0 on a goal from Shannon Murphy. Again, this was the halftime show, as you're listening to Molloy Lions women's soccer on MolloyLions.com.
Jake's Steakhouse is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Come down to Jake's for happy hour every Monday through Friday from 3 to 7 p.m. and Sundays from 12 to 7 p.m. $4 mixed drinks, $5 select house wines by the glass, $4 select domestic beer, and $5 select craft beers. Looking for some delicious food? Jake's Sunset Special features a price-fixed menu Sunday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., 3 courses for just $24.95. Friday night at Jake's is Prime Rib Night, a delicious 26-ounce prime rib with popover, mashed potatoes, and dessert, all for just $49. Can't get enough? Well, Jake's does brunch too. Sunday mornings receive free hot cereal and coffee or tea with any entree, plus bottomless Bloody Marys and mimosas for $10. And don't forget, you get 10% off at Jake's Monday through Saturday with a Lions Land card. Jake's Steakhouse, 2172 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow.
Mercy Medical Center and South Island Orthopedic Group are the proud medical providers of Molloy College Athletics. They are committed to serving the community with state-of-the-art compassionate health care. You can reach them at 516-62-MERCY or on the web at www.mercymedicalcenter.chsli.org.
MolloyLions.com is your official broadcast home for Molloy College Athletics. Hear all the exciting action of every Molloy Lions game live right here on MolloyLions.com. Remember, your home for Molloy College Athletics is www.MolloyLions.com.
And we're back for the second half of action. Again, I want to thank you for joining me this Friday afternoon. Dan Hilton here on MolloyLions.com. As we have the second 45 minutes between the Molloy Lions women's soccer team and the Stack Spartans at St. Thomas Aquinas College, for those keeping track at home. Molloy has got 45 minutes to add to their 1-goal lead and try to put this one away again. And a win would move them back to 500 in conference play. Plenty of scenarios could play out that could see them propel themselves back into ECC action. In the ECC playoffs, should I say. As Restivo, the captain, trying to track. And the first turnover. And basically a clear. And the only change at halftime for the maroon and white is a big one. It's the one in net. And as I foreshadowed in that first half, Courtney Dumaine, who started the first half, usually deputizes with Lauren Morales, the senior, who has started 7 games and played 8. So now this is her 9th game played. And she has 11 goals against, a 2.75 goals against average, 24 saves on the year, and 69% save percentage. As the tempo has picked up a little bit to start the first half, as Stack has come out with a little bit of energy. Well, the game, as far as pace-wise, did kind of play out into a lull in the latter half of that the first half, should I say. As teams try to make adjustments for the second half. That can usually do something to invigorate a team. And again, you don't know what the coaches said at halftime. And in the form of head coach of Stack, Graham Brown, again coaching both the men and the women, just like Molloy's coach, Danny Longo. As we have a foul and a free kick. And a little bit too far to maybe get into the box. And she's going to try, however, that being said, zone to loft into no man's land, but she couldn't get enough on it. So it's then cleared. And Janosa's going to bring it up herself. Finding Valente. Now Valente, it's a 2-on-1. And she is brought down, and that's an immediate card. We will see an indefinite card, seeing whether or not it's yellow or red, as Valente is down. Teammates will look to help her up. At the 42:53 mark to go in the second half. It looks like a yellow card going into the book for Callie Moyes. So now 2 players on Stack with a yellow card. And a 4-man wall being set up for Mims, who's got the free kick. Again, this is a very difficult spot. The fact that the wall is going to have to give her 10 yards. She could get enough curl on it, try to aim for that top right corner, or she could try to aim for her head. And she aims for the goal herself. And just a little bit too much loft, and Morales is able to pick it off. Maybe an opportunity wasted, but Valente was clear on net. But it's a good job by the center back partner of Moyes to be able to get back and make sure that that wasn't a clear-cut goal-scoring opportunity. Because if Valente had no defender standing in between her and the net, that would have been an easy red card. But because there was a defender behind Valente, so she would have had to go through one more to get on net, I think that's why the official opted for the yellow. You also said the challenge was pretty late, but you could also say the official might have thought that the player, got a little bit of the ball. And we're going to see an immediate substitution for Stack, less than 5 minutes in. Looks like it's going to be Catherine Kerrigan, who came in as a sub in that first half as well. Valente gets a shot on net, a volley, but it looked to be deflecting off a defender the entire time, so slowly into Morales' arms. Valente is free on the left wing. And the second time this game, the official on the far side says she was offsides, the junior. The junior in Valente, who also, along with current juniors, Genosa and Batista, all ECC honorable mentions last season. And again, this is a team that doesn't have anybody from that unit back in 2011 who got to the ECC championship game against Dowling College. And while they did lose by a single goal, 1-0 in that one, as Valente again on the left wing, crossing in. And able to basically deflect it back into her her goalie, was Montillo. But again, on the way to the ECC championship game where they lost to Dowling, the Molloy women were able to conquer league nemesis, University of Bridgeport again, who they have next Saturday, 8 days away, the number 7 ranked team in the NSCAA poll. And in that game, Bridgeport came in as the number 1 team in the nation. And they beat them in the semifinal round via penalty kicks. So that's a big note. Again, this game still with 39:51 left to play. And a 1-goal lead from Molloy. Again, a loss or potentially even a draw could all but end their hopes to make the ECC playoffs. For Stack, a loss would absolutely end their chances as they'd be moving to 1-5 in conference play. But for Molloy, again, number 7 Bridgeport on tap next Saturday. And this is a unit that doesn't have anybody who played them the first time, but again, they know from the history books that they shouldn't be scared of any number, as this shot just outside, again by Valente, was high and above the net. So Morales will have the goal kick. Valente has started the second half brightly. Noakes able to come in on it. But again, cut out by the Stack. Also mentioned coming into this second half of action, for the first time this game, Mallory Ray, the sophomore from Nova Scotia, Canada, so north of the border. Valente crossing in Restivo. Got a little bump from Kerrigan. Tried to get it in. Montillo cut it out. That's what Molloy has done to Stack's attempted counterattacks every time. Stack really, until the end of that first half, didn't have any success going forward on the break, but they were able to get 1 or 2 good attempts on some misplayed headers. Again, getting to the end line. Here's Molloy, the cross in. Mercurio couldn't find Valente. And now Bernieri looking for Malone. Malone able to track it down after initially not getting a header on it. She crosses back in. Valente looking to get up to it. Now Murphy here on the end of the box. You could hear the crowd taking that quick breath when Murphy was about to get onto it. That's about the same location she had on the first goal she scored today. But Steve-O, the layoff to Genosa. And still 1-0 on account of that Murphy goal in the first half in the 19th minute. Mins comfortable. Back to Batista. Another thing Molloy has done to Stack's offense in this game is they've shortened the field on him. Now, Molloy has done a good job by Malone or Mercurio, even Bernieri, to use those wings, and Rainey when she came in the first half as a substitute, to use those right and left wings, getting almost all the way to the corner flag, all the way to the touchline. And if you can really open the field up, use that space properly, touchline to touchline, it gives your opponent a difficult time of trying to control things. As the ball in, Batista able to get to it. It looked to be Priya Bhatti, the senior from Bedfordshire, UK. She had 2 goals this year. She could have had her third, but Mims was in between her and the ball the whole time, and it seemed like she just couldn't get enough on it for Batista to have the time. And now here's Valente, foot race with Morales. Morales out of net, so see if Valente can capitalize. Still backtracking, and then the chip in the goal. Valente scores the second. What a beautiful goal by Valente. Morales, though, knew she had gotten out of her box, knew she was at fault, and tried to backtrack and get in, but Valente had a lot of work left to do, a difficult angle. So Morales, who tried to cut off the angle, just couldn't do enough, and Valente chipping over the senior goalkeeper from Molloy. Their second goal of the game coming at about the 54th minute. Valente, that being her 6th goal on the season. Genosa spinning off the defender. Coming less than 10 minutes into the second half. That's exactly what head coach Danny Longo would have wanted to see from his ladies.
Goal, her team leading 6th of the season, scored by number 8, Danielle Valente. Time of the goal, 54-11.
And again, while Valente got a touch away from goal, and Morales had come out and making a mistake to come out so far, still not a lot of fault on Morales, as she did have the angle pretty cut down, but Valente had a lot of work left to do on that far touchline. It almost looked like she was at an angle where the only option was to try to cross the ball in, but because Morales had tried to backtrack to close out the angle even more, Valente took one touch with her left foot onto that right foot, should I say, and that put her at an angle where she was able to chip it into the far post. So Mims, Valente trying to get the heel clip pass forward, but nothing to it. Now Sack's going to have to come up with some good ideas to try to come back in this one. And both goals scored today by Molloy have been pretty goals. The attackers have done their job. And you have to say on both attempts, a mistake was made by a stacked player, but a mistake that usually isn't punishable by a goal. And both times, Molloy was able to capitalize. But sometimes in games like these where there's so much at stake, there has to be a little bit of nerves to be able to finish like that and to take care of business when things aren't necessarily going your way. That's the mark of a team that could find themselves back in the ECC playoffs. And the lady with the captain armband and Lord just clears to the sideline, up ahead to Malone to take the throw in. Malazzo back to Malone. Malone cutting in, trying to cross it low and on the ground, but it heads out. Up ahead to Flynn, but Mims there to cut it out, and this time Flynn, she had been tricked by Mims one too many times in that first half. So a little more privy to it this time, but Molloy still has possession. (32-33). Left to go in the second half, and now, again, 2-0, they say, is a very difficult scoreline to be up by. Very easily can a team get that goal to come back in the game and then really put a lot of bodies forward to get an equalizer. So 2-0 can be a very difficult scoreline when you're leading. But for Molloy, so they want to try to get another one or even two to ice it. But more importantly, Molloy would like to not have any let-off in these last 33 minutes of action. They want to continue to play at a high level. Again, going against number 7 Bridgeport in 8 days' time, you want the last memory that you were on the field in competitive action to be one where you were playing at a high level. So Molloy still, even though they're up 2-0, still has a lot to do, you'd think, especially in the eyes of the coaching staff. A free kick for Stack. This one a little better, but Batista is out to it. And after they got the reverse side of things, Batista spent 2 years along that back line coming up, and in that situation, you'd have to come forward and try to head it out of danger, but you'd have to ask the player how nice it must be to see the ball coming up in the box, and if you get to, and not if, but getting a good read on it and just being able to snatch it with your hands. For Batista, it might actually be a little bit of a relief. Looks like Mercurio stayed on sides, and now the official says no free kick. And they play on. Mercurio just getting up now. She says Matillo bumped her, but the official again said play on. And that's in an instance where if the official had blown the whistle, almost certainly would have been a yellow card in the books. But Mercurio now playing along that back line, trying to find the space in between the forwards, and now it's Lord who's trying to track her. And now going up 2-0, and especially when Valente commands a double team, Valente can almost sit behind one or two of those wingers who can now stand in the middle of the field like Mercurio has in this second half. As you have Malone all the way in that left wing. And head coach Danny Longo being warned by the official. As we have a Stack free kick. So again, Mercurio playing more central today. As Valente, yes, is on paper the central forward. It allows Molloy to go from what is their normal 4-3-3 into more of a traditional 4-4-2 for this level. As Batista is out to meet it and got a good read on it, able to snatch it out of the air for another save, her third of the half. But again, switching from that 4-3-3, to a 4-4-2, as Mercurio and Valente now the two center forwards. And then along this second line, you basically have three players in Malone and Murphy and Bernieri on that far sideline. Then you have Restivo and Milazzo backing them up right in the middle of the field. But again, you'd say that one of those, Milazzo or Restivo, usually Restivo playing as the stopper position at the top of the diamond of the midfield, of the defense, should I say. So being able to adapt and change formation to try to get the desired result, getting a little more comfortable with the 2-goal lead, allowing you to put more emphasis on defending. The ball in. They're going to say it's a shot, though I think that her idea the entire time was to have Mercurio or Bernieri run onto it, which is what they were about 3 or 4 feet away from doing. With 28:36 left to play, again, a goal scored in both halves so far for Molloy to put them up 2-0. One by Murphy in the 19th minute, and then in the 54th minute, it was Danielle Valente picking up her team-leading 6th goal on the season. And Kerrigan lays it off. Stack, I know you're down. I know they're down. 2-0. But one of the bright spots in this game, as Montillo is muscled off the ball by Bernieri, has been the play of Kerrigan, who came off the bench and has commanded herself into the midfield. As she's beat there on the tackle by Milazzo. But still forced out is Molloy. So they'll go back to Genosa to reset. Milazzo then losing out. And Genosa again, physical contest in the middle of the field. And then with a player down, Stack chooses to try to switch fields. And Noakes had to get all the ball there. Sansone had a good head of steam, so it would have been a foul if Noakes hadn't got the ball. Now Murphy, plenty of maroon shirts, but the ball a little bit too far, and another offsides call. So Stack working with the offsides trap. With exactly 27 minutes left to play in the second half. And if this result were to stand, again, you want to look forward to the post-game show. We most certainly will have head coach Danny Longo, but we could also have one of the stars of the game, whether it be Annette Mims or Danielle Valente, or most likely could be the goal scorer of the first half goal, and Shannon Murphy, who was fouled there right in the middle of the park. And Molloy, they have a scoreline they would like to get a win here, but the big talking point for the last 26 minutes is continue to play at a high level so that you don't have any drop in quality. When 8 days from now, as they will have time to rest up and prepare for number 7 Bridgeport, a team that they faced back in 2011 when Bridgeport was the number 1 in the semifinal of the UCC playoffs. A game that Molloy, again, won against the top-ranked, and that's not just in the conference, but that's number 1 in the NSCAA poll. Basically, that's the National Coaches Association poll. As we've got another free kick upcoming for Molloy here. And the official having a word with both Kerrigan and Restivo. And it looks like at least one yellow card. I wonder if he gave it to both players for some extracurricular activity off the ball. Genosa blasts the ball forward and partially cleared by Stack, just as far as Flynn. And now Ray picks it up, and she's able to get it forward. But Annette Mims, again, as I mentioned in that first half, stepping up to the ball. And here's Malone. We have a throw in here. Valente controlled with the chest. And now getting on that touch line. It's taking two Stack players to try to get the ball off. He still gets the cross off. And it looks like Mercurio had a shot of the sun. Shannon Murphy trying to get another shot off. That would have been her second goal of the day. But it was cleared by Lord. Restivo into the middle for Mercurio. First touch let her down a little bit, but she still got it over to Genosa. Again, Genosa shoving off the attacker. And we got another whistle here. And it seems like if Genosa had stayed at the scene of the crime, the official might have been contemplating a card, but she just got up off the ground, and she did trip, and that's what allowed the attacker for Stack to pick up the ball, and that's why the foul occurred. Genosa trying to win it on the ground. And not a great free kick there by Stack. It was cut out by Valente. Didn't even get across midfield. And so Molloy has it through Restivo again. And then we've got some substitutions. And 3 substitutions to be exact for Stack. So they're changing things up here. And you do notice that they do use a number of players. And Danielle Stam, the senior from Florida, New York, as well as Megan Flynn and Megan Finnan, the junior from Troy, New York, as well as number 3, Haley Lindenberger, a sophomore from Cornwall, New York. Morales had trouble with it initially. And now a foul is going to go against Malone, trying to knock the ball free of Morales. Mercurio, the step over. We're looking for Malone here on the left wing. Then Milazzo. Mercurio lays off. And Bernieri. She's been quiet in this contest, but she's tracked back and helped Genosa out and done what she's had to do out on the right flank. She did play a little bit on the left flank, too, in that first half, but again, doing her work defensively. Milazzo crosses over. Malone again. The offside flag's up. That's the fourth offsides call against Molloy today. 1 on Malone, 2 on Mercurio, and 1 on Valente. With 21:43 left to play in this contest. A 2-0 lead again for Molloy. Goals in the first half for Murphy and 1 in the second half here from Valente. Molloy just trying to continue to add to their lead. And in this kind of situation where, again, you're just going for that final nail in the coffin to try to put Stack away, you also don't want to have any injuries when you're going to need your full squad for the rest of the season, as they've got 3 games left, all in conference play, as they're fighting for a spot in the ECC playoffs. Murphy, pretty layoff from Mercurio. Mercurio takes the shot. It was crossed in, but the captain, Lord, was able to cut it out. And it gets as far as about 40 yards out to Milazzo, who controls. Milazzo, another move, and she takes the shot, and this one way off. About a goal's length away from the net. But not often does freshman Milazzo get such a clear shot on net, so that's why, as the coaches say, she had one. She does have 1 goal this season, however, and she has had a pretty good nose in front of goal. She's had 8 shots on goal of her 13 shots taken. So again, she is usually on target. So the coaching staff will trust the freshman, who was the one freshman to step right into the starting lineup. And while the freshmen so far have had a few starts this year, it's Milazzo who's started the majority of them. In the middle of the field. We're under 20 to play. You have to think the head coach, Jane Longo, might also think about making some changes as we near the end of time. Mims, another piece of fancy footwork from Mims. If not for 2 beautiful goals, Mims would surely be my player of the game. And we have a 5th offsides. The second going, make that the 3rd going against Mercurio. Almost accused Malone, but she's here on the right near side. Another free kick for Stack. Montillo having a conversation with the Stack bench. The bench set again with another free kick here upcoming for Stack. The Lions getting a little bit sloppy in the last 4 or 5 minutes. It's going to be taken by Sansone. As Sansone got a little more lift on it, but out over Batista's net, she had it covered the whole way. So another wasted opportunity for the Spartans. And they've got 2 more substitutes upcoming. And the conversation with Mantillo on the bench might have been something about either picking up a knock or something to that effect, as she is one of the players substituted. And coming out in her place, Marissa Conley comes back into the game, now taking a central location. And Megan Finnan, as I incorrectly stated earlier, it was Megan Flynn who would come into the game, but now Megan Finnan, the junior, comes in. And Alicia D'Alessio also comes into the contest. The freshman back. Restivo pokes the ball forward, up ahead to Malone. Malone. It looks like Mercurio was the one who would have been called offsides, but they call Valente offsides as well. They say both players were behind the defense. the 6th offsides against Molloy with 17:28 left to play. The conversation on the sideline between Mantillo with in his 9th year in charge, head coach Graham Brown, native of Northern Ireland, and I guess one of the big talking points, his team may have given him a big congratulations last week as Northern Ireland did qualify, and that's the men's international team qualifying for their first European championship in quite some time, as they have qualified for Euro 2016. That's Northern Ireland, and that's separate, of course, for all you who haven't seen a map in a while, from the Republic of Ireland. Republic of Ireland, its own independent nation, and Northern Ireland, of course, a part of the UK. And Graham Brown does have some experience, especially working with goalkeepers, as he does have a working relationship when he was coaching in England with Roy Carroll, and you might recognize that name, an ex-Man United goalkeeper. But again, he is going to have to come up with some answers just outside of helping or giving a few nice words to his goalkeeper. As for the Spartans, they're going to have all 11 ladies on the field, and including some positivity from the bench, to try to defend what is, surprisingly enough, the first corner of the game for either team. As Molloy has their first corner, and it'll be Malone to take it. As it's an in-swinger. And it looked like Valente got ahead on it and just couldn't bring it down. She had opponents on her front and back that were not giving her the space to get the required power on it.
St. Thomas Aquinas substitution number 29.
Another substitution. Rosania comes back in.
Lord.
And Lord is the one who goes out. So this is an attacker for defender substitution. It looks like a little bit of experimentation from the Spartans. Rosania, who leads the team with 8 goals, is the one who's now setting up in center defense. And it could be that as Mercurio tries to play Murphy forward, it's going to be a goal kick for Stack. And trying to think what's going on with Rosania is that, again, she does have a yellow card already, but maybe setting up for center defense to try to hope that you get some more vision forward, trying to help lead the attack from the back. But it could also be that putting on that extra attacker, if she's going to try to get forward. Another reasoning could be with Lord heading out of the game, the captain. It could be that she might have picked up a knocker that head coach Brown would just like to give his starter just a little bit of rest. And you see the head coach Danny Longo also is going to be emptying his bench as well, with under 14 left to play. Mims out to Genosa. Again, this one a 2-0 lead for Molloy. First half goal from Shannon Murphy in the 19th minute. It was a right-footed one-timer that nestled into the bottom right corner of the net. Meanwhile, Danielle Valente, she got away on the left flank. Morales came out, the goalkeeper, much too far for Valente, and Valente with one touch was able to get free of her, took herself back out near the corner flag. Then when Morales backtracked into her net, Valente took one touch onto her right foot and was able to get the ball into the net on the shot for the goal. And so you see there's been a mass influx of players for both teams, and we'll have these in just a second. We know for a fact the lady to take the throw in, Allie Rainey, here on the near side, has come in from Molloy, as well as Erica Capola checking back in, and Felicia LaPera, who's going to be heading up top. Kristen Cummings also re-enters the contest. And finally on that far sideline, seeing for the first time, is Christina Palmeni. And then in the back, Mariella Gotti. So it's easier to tell you who might have stayed on than who came off, as Murphy remains, along with Noakes, who's going to take the throw in, and Mims and Malazzo. So those four actually are the ones who stay, as Noakes blasts this one forward. And it's out. So the only new player introduced into the game at this point is actually Christina Palmeni, the freshman from Oceanside, New York. With 12:14 left to play. Again, with making all those substitutions, you'd have to think that the thought behind making all those substitutions is when you play a team like Bridgeport and you could find yourself defending for a large amount of time, you're going to want to have your entire bench playing with a lot of confidence, because tired legs could be the thing that could be the difference, especially in that second half. Again, Bridgeport's going to continue to attack you. They have that kind of talent. So you're going to want to have everybody, again, with 8 days to think about this, what should be a victory with just 11:37 left to play. And Stack, again, haven't had a lot of ideas this contest. As we have a long throw in, it's going to be taken by Noakes. Malazzo cuts it out for another Stack throw in as they try to move up this right flank. And up ahead, and just coming into this game for Stack, Danielle Stam, as we mentioned. She's up top now. And she's from Florida, New York. And not the only one from Florida, New York, as a member of the men's Stack team also from Florida, New York. But no relation. Stack has a throw in here on the near side. Another change is that, yes, Capola's playing in the middle, but you notice that while they were playing that 4-4-2, now they're overloading in the midfield, and that being they in Molloy. And that it's going to be LaPera who's playing up top with Capola, but seem to be defending at least a little bit more than Valente or Mercurio was. And another throw in. As you have to also expect, just like in that end of the first half, as the pace slows a little bit, and Molloy tries to put it away, the substitutes coming in, trying to prove something to head coach Danny Longo, trying to fight for some minutes, and as the season wanes down, and preparations both for the ECC playoffs, but more importantly, in the next 8 days, preparations for the last 3 games of the season, or at least even the next one against number 7 Bridgeport, to try to put yourself back in the ECC playoff picture. But a win today is a big result. If, again, 9 minutes to go, up by 2, you're able to hold on. You'd hope that moving back to 500, and again, the results of the rest of today's games could play a big factor. And you have to look at some of the important results, and that 4-3 win against Dowling just 2 days ago, and a result that could have potentially saved the season after losing 1-0 in overtime to Damien. And that could be looked back at the end of the season as the heartbreaker. In addition to a 1-0 loss on the road at Queens. And an expected 5-1 defeat to Robert Wesleyan. As Robert Wesleyan has really been the class of the ECC this season so far. Just putting up huge numbers against everybody in their path. We've got 8 minutes left to go. And I think head coach Danny Longo now on that sideline, hoping to see one of his substitutions pay dividends. And see if they, again, can't make a difference. Give themselves some confidence going forward and potentially add another, well, not say goal-scoring threat, as a player doesn't change overnight, but to be another player, we'll say, hitting on form going into that big matchup against Bridgeport in 8 days. And a lot of little things go into it. In terms of even film, as Murphy a little bit upset as it looked like a combination of Ray and Flynn got a little too much of her. But again, with a full 8 days to watch film, to practice, and prepare for that game against Bridgeport, you're going to want to have a number of players have game tape to watch of themselves. And as LaPera tried to get a header on it, and the ball was always rising off her head. With 6:31 left to play in this second half of action. 2-0 the scoreline, again with post-game interviews upcoming. And, of course, the 7 p.m. start time for the men's version of Molloy versus Stack. And that one will have very different storylines, as the men's team picking up a few more wins than the ladies' side. Currently 8-3 on the season. Milazzo looking for Capolo. It gets all the way as far as Cummings, and she gives it up to Milazzo. And now the cross in. Franey tries to run on it, but the official blowing his whistle and saying a foul is going to go against the freshman. This game's also a comfortable way for head coach Danny Longo to give an opportunity to give some bench minutes, or at least to rest some of his normal starters like Genosa, who plays most of every game, as Rainey takes an ambitious shot with the left foot. And so we are now under 5 minutes to play. And a dominating performance for Molloy, almost doubling up Stack in the shot category, as Stack's best ideas came just at the start of this second half. And you can see that from the beginning, their ideas might have been to get out on the break and try to counterattack. And with a team that, we'll say, maybe not having the tactical skill of the opponent, trying to get that counterattack, but also in the realm of modern football, especially in the women's game, counterattacking is, we'll say, all the rage. As Mims, again, shouldn't be any surprise at this point to Stack when Mims is 1 or 2 moves away from getting by your opponent. But on the other side of things, up on attack, LaPera tried to cross it in, but Morales was out to meet it for the cross. Batista, calm, cool, and collected, kicking it out of her box. We'll still say that's one of the bold moves that head coach Danny Longo made this year, in moving his stalwart in center back, the sophomore All-ECC honorable mention, and shifting her into goal. And she has been up to the challenge this year. Here's Ray. Cummings controls, but misplays it, turns it over. So now the white shirts are going to have to defend again. Rainey is back. And Murphy, very nonchalantly and coolly, brings it back to Noakes. And Cummings up ahead to Capolo. The layoff. With 3 minutes left to play, we talked about what a almost certain win for Molloy would look like for their season. It would give them their 6th win overall, but more importantly, they'd go 3-3 in conference play, and moving back to 500 would put them farther in the mix of that muddy middle of the conference. It's Batista. Again, another veteran savvy move for someone who surprisingly in her entire soccer career is only in net for the first year. She decided to walk it back in her own box. And here's Rainey trying to cross for nobody in particular. With 2:10 left to play. And here's Cummings. The layoff. And then back to Cummings. And you see that Molloy, especially in the last 2 or 3 minutes, have been much more fluid as substitutes take a few minutes to at least get accustomed to the tempo of the game. As you can see that, especially on that far sideline, everybody getting a little more comfortable. Murphy blasting it forward. Goes back only as far as Gotti. A hard first touch, and she turns it over. But Stack just cannot get to it. And then here's Malazzo taking it herself, holding off the defender. The through ball, a little bit too much curve on it. Couldn't find LaPera. And we're just about at a minute left to go. And again, a loss here for the Spartans basically ends any shot, even almost mathematically, they would have of making the ECC tournament. I think they're still about one loss away from being mathematically eliminated. But with all the conference games for the rest of the season, they may as well be all but done and dusted here. As Noakes gets it forward for what could be the final goal kick, or at least the final stoppage here, as the last 30 seconds or so get off the clock. And again, I have to remind you to stay with us. We'll take a short break, but then we'll be back for the post-game show. We'll have post-game interviews, and we'll go over some of the stats and numbers and analysis from this first half of action, as we've got just 15 seconds left to go on the clock.
10, 9, 8,
and
7,
looks like they won't even go for the ball,
5,
as Capolo's taking her time
3,
for the throw-in. And
1.
again, another win in the books for the Molloy Lions women's soccer team. 6-5-2 overall, but more importantly, 3-3 again in ECC play. Meanwhile, Stack falls to 3-9 overall, 1-5 in the ECC. And we'll break it down and have some post-game interviews coming up here inside the halftime show. Again, Molloy wins 2-0. Your final goals by Murphy and Valente. And again, you're listening to Molloy Lions Women's Soccer on MolloyLions.com.
Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Looking for great food around campus? Casey's is open 7 days a week for dinner with plenty of salads, sandwiches, and entrees to choose from. Casey's is also open for lunch Thursday through Sunday and for Sunday brunch. On the go, takeout is available, plus on-site and off-premise catering to suit all your catering needs. All at Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails, 23 North Park Avenue in Rockville Center. Jake's Steakhouse is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Looking for great food in the area? Well, come on down to Jake's. Jake's features a special price-fixed menu Sunday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., 3 courses for just $24.95. And Lions Land cardholders receive a special 10% discount. Jake's Steakhouse, 2172 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow.
Mercy Medical Center and South Island Orthopedic Group are the proud medical providers of Molloy College Athletics. They are committed to serving the community with state-of-the-art compassionate health care. You can reach them at 516-62-MERCY or on the web at www.mercymedicalcenter.chsli.org.
It's a tradition in which Molloy, past, present, and future, come together to recapture old glory, to reunite with old friends, and to celebrate what makes being a Molloy student-athlete an unforgettable experience. Saturday, October 17th, in accordance with homecoming, Molloy College will welcome back its former student-athletes for the annual tradition of the Alumni Games. The action will take place in 3 locations: Quealy Gymnasium,
Volleyball and basketball,
Skelos Sports Complex,
softball, soccer, and lacrosse,
and Mitchell Field.
baseball.
There is still time to register to participate in the games or to just watch. Visit alumni.molloy.edu or contact Joe Fugarino at 516-323-3611 or jfugarino at molloy.edu for more information. Saturday, October 17th. Welcome back, Molloy student-athlete alumni.
What's the lowdown on Molloy College athletics? Watch the Lions Lowdown. Hear from your favorite coaches and student athletes of the Molloy College Lions. Watch on MolloyLions.com or follow our YouTube channel, Molloy Lions.
Jake's Steakhouse is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Looking for great food in the area? Well, come on down to Jake's. Jake's features a special price-fixed menu Sunday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., 3 courses for just $24.95. And Lions Land cardholders receive a special 10% discount. Jake's Steakhouse, 2172 Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow.
Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails is a proud sponsor of Molloy Athletics. Hurry down to Casey's because now through October, Casey's Rooftop Bar, Rooftop 32, is open for dining. Have a Lions Land card? Receive a 10% discount on your order. Casey's Kitchen and Cocktails, 23 North Park Avenue in Rockville Center.
Mercy Medical Center and South Island Orthopedic Group are the proud medical providers of Molloy College Athletics. They are committed to serving the community with state-of-the-art compassionate health care. You can reach them at 516-62-MERCY or on the web at www.mercymedicalcenter.chsli.org.
Hey, this is Danny Longo, head coach of your Molloy Lions soccer team, and you're listening to all the action live on MolloyLions.com.
Back for the post-game show here on MolloyLions.com. Again, I want to thank you for joining me. Dan Hilton here as we break down the 2-0 win for the Molloy Lions women's soccer team. As again, they move on the season to 6-5-2 overall, 3-3 in ECC play. Meanwhile, St. Thomas Aquinas fell to 3-9 overall, 1-5 in ECC play. Basically, while not technically, mathematically eliminating them from the postseason, when you look at all the matchups to end the year, the last 3 games of the season for both these squads, the Stack Spartans women's soccer team have basically found their postseason hopes dashed at 1-5. Molloy, meanwhile, 3-3 now puts them right back in the middle of what you could say is a mess with the 3, 4, 5, 6 positions in conference standings. But they have done their job, and now 8 days forthcoming they have to look forward to a matchup with the number 7 team in the country in the Bridgeport Purple Knights, a team that they again beat just about 4 years ago in 2011. And as we look at some of the numbers here, Gabrielle Batista, 2 saves. And the big number that you could circle is shots in this contest, 23-5. And that's the number the head coach, Danny Longo, will speak to, along with the senior midfielder, Shannon Murphy, who scored that first goal. Danielle Valente getting the second goal. But again, Molloy, 23-5, the shot disparity. As we'll get them set up in just a minute. Here in the post-game show. The corners, believe it or not, only one corner in this contest, and it was by Molloy in the last 5 minutes when things were almost all done and dusted. So again, and so we'll head coach Danny Longo in just a minute. And so the goals again coming from the senior, Shannon Murphy. As we have coming on now, potentially a very reluctant Shannon Murphy. So we're just going to talk to the senior Murphy just real quick just about the goal and about this game in general. But so Shannon, a 2-0 win for your team against Stack. Now going into this game, head coach Danny Longo again had kind of gotten you guys ready and setting yourself up for a game that on paper it should have been a victory. But again, going into this contest, what was that mentality of just getting the job done?
Well, we knew that we had to win this game in order to go into playoffs, so we knew it was important regardless of what it was supposed to be on paper or not.
And I know it was a tough going in the early part of the first half where you weren't getting the chances you wanted to, even though the shot disparity was 23-5. But then when you got that first goal in, could you again just walk me through a little bit what was going through your head? You only had about a second to make sure you took it first time, but again, what was the going on between that offensive attack?
I knew we needed a goal so that we could get going and start getting the shots in instead of to the side or around. So I was like, okay, we need to get one goal in so that we can finish it and get the game going.
And then just walk me through some of the emotion in that second half when Danielle scored her goal.
That was exciting. We knew we were going to win the game.
And then just finally, as the game was, again, 2-0, the win was in hand. But what was some of the thinking on the field, at least, on just being able to close out and trying to finish on a high level?
We knew we just had to possess and finish the game with a win. That was most important.
Well, again, getting the opportunity to speak with the senior midfielder and Shannon Murphy. Again, congratulations on the goal today and the win.
Thank you.
Again, that was senior midfielder Shannon Murphy scoring the first of 2 goals today and doing an excellent job with the interview. And now a man which needs no introduction, the head coach, and head coach Danny Longo.
How's it going?
And again, we just heard from Shannon there, and again, she was a little reluctant to heap too much praise on herself, but could you then walk me through her goal as well, the one-timer for the first goal in the game?
Yeah, I mean, she's a very good player. She's had a good year. She just hadn't scored in a while, hadn't scored at all for us. I think the goal that she scored against Dowling got her going a bit, and then today was a great finish. I came from nowhere, popped out. She got it first time, hit it well, was in the corner, had no chance. And once we got that goal, we were able to take a deep breath because I think we were in control from the beginning.
And now I did want to happen. I did name it a Galazzo, but then can you on the second time also explain the thinking when Danielle Valente scored that second goal in the contest?
Yeah, Danny, the keeper came out pretty deep. Danny got there first. Keeper's got to make a decision there. She made the decision to come. Danny got there first. She started running back to goal. Danny took a couple of touches, probably too many. I told her that. And then she put it back post, and it went in. I thought maybe somebody would be standing in goal for them, or we'd have someone to redirect it in or whatever it may be, but she took it on target and went in back stick, so it was good.
And now, most importantly, with this 2-0 win, you move back to 3-3 in EC play. This was, you'd call a must-win game because it does put you right back in the middle of that pack, and now you do have an 8-day layoff until you face number 7 Bridgeport. And now, while most of your players wouldn't remember it, back in 2011, you did have that upset in penalty kicks in the semifinals against Bridgeport. What is going to go into these 8 days of preparation? They're going to prepare again against a ranked Bridgeport.
Well, first we'll give them a couple of days off, rest on Saturday and Sunday, enjoy it a bit, And then Monday we'll do a little bit of fitness to keep them sharp because I'm sure they're going to enjoy the weekend. And, not do any kind of fitness. So we're going to have to, give them a little bit of something on Monday. And then starting Tuesday, I'll be able to watch a lot of film this weekend. And then we'll be able to, try and figure out how we want to compete against arguably the best team in the country. They have one loss on the year, and that one loss they probably should have won. That was, I guess, in Texas against St. Edwards. I believe it was Texas. And then other than that, they beat Adelphi, who's probably the second best team in the region. So they're definitely hands down the best team in the region. So for us to get them at home, I think it's a little bit, more beneficial for us because our field is big, their field is twice the size. It feels like it anyway when we're playing. So we'll come up with some kind of gimmick and figure out what we can do to try and compete, which I think we will because our kids are tough. So we're able to get a result in that day. I'll feel a lot happier.
Well, Coach, I know it's homecoming weekend, and of course you've got another game coming in about 45 minutes, so we'll let you go again. Congratulations on the first half of today's action with the 2-0 win against Stack, and again, good luck in the second one with the men's squad.
I appreciate it. Hopefully I'm having this conversation again. Thanks.
All right, we'll talk to you again in quite some time, but for me, we'll take a break now before, again, we look forward to the second half of today's doubleheader as the men also meet the Stack Spartans, but for the men's side of things, coming in at 8-3 overall, they're going to have to take care of business as well as they jockey for position in the ECC postseason. So again, for myself, Dan Hilton, and everyone else involved, I want to thank you for listening to the first half, and we'll talk to you in just a few short minutes, about 45 minutes from kickoff. So again, about 30 minutes away from the pregame show of the second game of all doubleheader. Again, this was a 2-0 win for the Molloy Lions women's soccer team. If you're listening to Molloy Lions Soccer on MolloyLions.com.